That is beautiful.
All right. I know you're excited. How about that house right there, kids?
Smiling at me.
All right. First in 1902 by a man named Jacques Saint-Germain. Look at this nice lady. All right, first by a man named Jacques Saint-Germain. And Jacques was an interesting man in New Orleans at that time. He was a descendant of the Count or Comte de Saint-Germain. Now, that's a big deal in the court of Louis XV in the 1700s. Louis XV was king when New Orleans was founded, so this guy, Jacques, the descendant of the Count, was a big deal in here. So he rolls into town. He's not just a descendant of this royalty, he's also a savant. He speaks dozens of languages fluently like a native. He plays every instrument. He picks up like a virtuoso. He throws elaborate parties a couple times a year. I'm the coolest guy in New Orleans kind of parties. But an interesting history, about 45 years old, very wealthy, kind of a ladies' man, they said. Different beautiful woman on his arm. Every night he went out on the town. But terrified of being poisoned, they said. Now, he would have catered events at his house. Antoine's, other great restaurants. He wouldn't eat the food. First, people thought he snubbed our cuisine. But then they realized he wouldn't even drink the wine that he bought for everybody else. He had a private label. He walked around with clutching it in his hand, corked up. He would pour his own glass, recork it, and hold it close to himself. He said he never shared his wine. He brought it with him everywhere he went. Like he went to the opera, he'd bring his own wine with him. He'd often pay a fee to bring his own wine with him wherever he went. He'd go to someone's house for dinner. Wouldn't eat their food, bring his own wine. Strange, weird man. Went on for 5 years. But he was well-liked in so much that he gave a lot of money to charity. He was out and about in the town. And an interesting man. Great parties he threw. Best food in New Orleans he would have for his guests. Best wine, but he never ate it, never drank any of the wine. Interesting guy. 1907, a young woman is found on the ground here by that manhole cover. She's dead. She's dying, or at least that's what they think. Broken arm, broken leg, gash on her neck. She's bleeding and unconscious. She's barely taken to the hospital before she dies. She's revived. It takes about 4 or 5 hours till they get to talk to her. She says, I went upstairs with Saint-Germain. He grabbed me with such force he broke my arm. A knock at the door distracted him just as he ripped my hair back, ripped off my dress, and bit me on the neck. He looked up, loosened his grip, said, I ran out to the balcony. She fell down, fell off trying to climb down, breaks her leg. She's already got a broken arm. She's now unconscious on the ground and bleeding from a gash in her neck where he bit her. Police come to talk to Saint-Germain some 5 or 6 hours later, and he's gone. And everything in the house is gone. It turns out Saint-Germain had never owned any furniture. As they begin to interview caterers and other people in the house, they find he rented tables and chairs for the parties. He may have never owned a bed in 5 years, because no one saw him move a bed out, and there was none when they got there. They did see his carriage leave, but all of his clothes were gone out of the wardrobes. The wardrobes were all empty. They didn't find any plates, forks, knives, cups, spoons, none of that. And further investigation revealed the caterers had never seen even a sack of flour in his pantry. Nothing in the house. But a portrait of Saint-Germain was still there when he left. And then they found this huge double cabinet inside the master bedroom, right there. Big, giant, like double armoire, locked cabinet. There were ropes and pulleys hanging from the ceiling, strange stuff in the bottom of the drawer of the cabinet. There were funnels and tubes. And they open up, they break the locks in the cabinet, open up, and there are hundreds of bottles of his house label wine. Most of them were clear and cleaned inside. About a third of them were full of the wine he drank. It wasn't wine. It turned out to be human blood in the bottles, mixed with a little bit of absinthe, which is nearly pure alcohol. It's 180 proof. So the absinthe would keep the blood from coagulating. So you could store it at room temperature. So you could keep it loose from chunking up and going bad. He drank human blood. There was enough blood left when he fled that would have required the complete draining of 30 people. Now, headlines in the newspaper, vampire drains New Orleans, Saint-Germain, vampire goes on and on and on. People come out of the woodwork. I saw him drink 5 bottles one night at a party. Right? He brought 2 bottles with him to the opera. We started doing that. Here's the problem. In 1907, the technology to drain somebody completely of their blood didn't exist. Pumps didn't exist yet. So to get 30 people's blood, you had to drain 50 people, basically. Hang them upside down from a rope and pulley, drip their blood into a funnel after giving them gash on the neck. When their heart stopped beating, though, they didn't bleed anymore. And then you could just dump them in the Mississippi. How did he get rid of so many bodies? If he drank a bottle a day, a bottle of wine a day for 5 years, almost 1,000 people would have had to have been drained on that second floor. Now, the estimates range between hundreds and more than 1,000. We don't know for sure. 50 people were killed with the blood that was left when he fled. Many people saw him drink this stuff. The Mississippi River is 3 blocks from here. If you speak Portuguese and a dozen other languages, you can go down to the docks. There are no customs, no check-in, no passports. It's easy to talk a crew to come over here and move some stuff around for you. They end up hung upside down, being drained of their blood. Right now, there are 300 missing person cases in the world that are unsolved. In 1902, nobody would have been bothered with these crews. People jumped ship all the time. It was a busy port, the third largest port in America at the time. I mean, it was crazy how many people were coming in and out of here. It would have been a prime place to get rid of bodies. A good location for someone who needed to feast on human blood. So, let's go back. This guy never came back to New Orleans. Interesting guy. The headlines fade out after a while. Nobody cared anymore. But in the court of Louis XV in the mid-1700s, the Count de Saint-Germain was a big deal. Voltaire, the French philosopher, wrote of him, he never eats and he knows everything. Because he seemed to know everything about everything. Art, history, culture, science. He had a photographic memory. He worked as a translator for the king because he spoke dozens of languages fluently. Occasionally he conducted the king's orchestra because he played every instrument like a virtuoso. The Count de Saint-Germain was an interesting guy. People were asking a lot of sketchy questions about him. Like he'd been married many times but had no children. And he leaves and goes to Germany. And the questions get a little tough in France. And in 1783 he died in Germany. And he's shipwrecked up the coast of Germany. The body was never recovered. But he was seen again in France in 1810, all over Europe in the 1800s. And then a man claiming to be the descendant, a man with no descendants, shows up in New Orleans in 1902, speaking dozens of languages, playing multiple instruments, never eating, only drinking wine. The Count of Saint-Germain was famous for bringing his own wine to a feast. He wouldn't even drink the king's wine. That's what Madame Pompadour wrote in her history of the Count of Saint-Germain. He'd bring his own wine to feast of palace. Strange dude, then shows up again, maybe, here in New Orleans, and then leaves for some trouble. Then in 1978, a man in France named Richard Chaffney announced to the world, you know what, I'm tired of hiding, I'm Saint-Germain. I've been alive for 1,000 years, buy my new album, do not buy his new album. It's awful. It's on iTunes now. You can look it up, Saint-Germain or Richard Chaffney pops it up. It's French spoken word poetry over bad 70s techno jazz. It's awful. But he's an interesting guy. He goes on these talk shows in Europe and Asia trying to sell this album, but he says I'm 1,000 years old, so people want to talk to this guy. Let me tell you what really happened at the Battle of Hastings kind of thing. Weird dude, speaks every language wherever he goes, and in 1983 he died in a boating accident off the coast of Italy. No body was ever recovered. Many people believe this man has lived for hundreds, if not more than 1,000 years. One of them was Anne Rice, who based the vampire Lestat on Saint-Germain, a vampire from France who comes to New Orleans, wants to be a rock star in modern times. Saint-Germain story, right, which really existed. And there's a lot of historical data. The more I started researching, the more freaky it got. And there are many people who are interested in him, including the former owner of this house, and that just got resold about 4 years ago. But before that, Microsoft billionaire Paul Allen owned this house, and 3 others Saint-Germain lived in, 2 in France and 1 in Germany. The rumor was he's studying Saint-Germain DNA, and why not? If I lived on a 300-foot mega yacht and had $11 billion in the bank, and it's possible to live for 1,000 years, I might check that out. Why not? Why not? I mean, why not get some kids from the university to spray some luminol and look for some Saint-Germain DNA? Because living for 1,000 years sounds like a lot of fun when you got billions in the bank. I'm not going to outlive the money. He did sell the house, and they moved the studio out of the second floor. We think conservatively, hundreds of people were killed on that second floor of the building. And he does throw a great Halloween party. It's a Baton Rouge lawyer who lives there now, or has it as his second home. I need to get invited to the former billionaire's house party. You know, I don't know how to do that yet. I'm working on it. I got to get hooked up with this crew. But an interesting place. Sometimes people's cameras don't work here. It is really kind of startling. Then we're going to walk a block to the home of